QTP supports. This allows customization of my object classes in the way I like it to handle. This uses jQuery, so we are introducing jQuery as well. The detailed study of this, we will manage it in the projects. To start with, text extensibility is a separate unit and it is an installer needs to be installed. It is available with eval copy of QTP as well. Before we get into quick test extensibility, now we are trying to see an image. I have opened an image and this image I have opened it in the browser. This image you are able to see when I do a spy, he treats this image as like this. I am now getting into QTP. I have opened the object spy. Using object spy, I spied onto the object. I click on spy now. Hold on. Yeah. Yep. Now I'm getting into this object spy. When I treat this image or this particular files, you can see that individually the objects are recognized under page directly. If I try to click an event, say history of quick test professional or this image to the left, new price, used price, etc. This informations are, if you see the right hand side, informations are treated as web element and this is associated directly with the page. Assume that you have a situation where you have multiple images like this. Each image has this kind of 59.9 etc. You have a price for each of the image. Assume in that way. So when you are having in such situations, what I like, how I want QTP to recognize the object is, I want QTP to treat this entire class as one object. Within that object, I like title to be one property where I will get this title name, and I like authors to be one property where all the authors are listed in that property, and I like price, new price, old price, I like those as an individual property. In case if I have an image, I want image as a separate property. So this property set that you see, I am selecting now the entire object. In this object, I like now, instead of web table, I need to identify that object as a book. Within book, I like to have title as one property, authors as one property. As many authors, you will give it in a comma separated value. I like price, new price, old book price, etc. I like those as my additional properties to that object. If I have 10 images, 10 different objects, each object will have a title, will have a new price, will have a old price, etc. If I want that to be managed in this way, why I want in that way? Because it is easy for me to retrieve the price of that object. I know what is the object. From that object, I want to know who is the author, what is the price, old price, new price, I can directly get. If you have n number of images, I am going to now WordPad. In this WordPad, this is the actual XML of that file. This is how the file looked like. Initially you had this was not there. I'm just deleting it off. I'll come to that little later. Now, this is how initially it was. This is the original file. Very simple HTML file. You can see there is an HTML header, and HTML header says book as my title, and you have body, and the body says class book, etc. So this is one body. I can have n number of bodies created. Say I now go to up to this end, I copy, I paste it. Now we have another body. Now here I call it as book 1 as my class, right? Book image cell, let this be a class, or let it be a book class itself. Class, let it be a book. Book image cell is fine. I'll just change the name here. Page not found will come. I'll say book image book1.jpg, history 1. These are all going to different pages. Assume in this way. This is the title of the book. I rename this title now. I rename this title as second book, etc. So rename the author. It's an HTML file. I create author 1 HTML, author 2 HTML, right? Author name, I rename it, or the link can be same, not an issue. Link can be same, name I can change it. 1 minute, I'll copy the link. I'll copy the link here. Name, I'll change it as author 1, author 2. And price, I'll change again. Price is $59. I'll change it to say $100. New book is $150, $159.99. So this is, I now changed my existing file. I'll redo this. If I now say 1, you can see now 2 books are appearing. Now like this you have n number of books. I like to manage this each book as one entity. Within the book I will have my price, title, authors, old price, etc. This is the way I like. This is the first step I like to you all to understand. This is how I like to manage. Is this clear to you? I have added now 2 books. Now in QTP, when I try to recognize that object, how QTP recognizes the object? That is the first question. I now select spy. When I click on this title, you notice that it is recognized as page link. From page directly link he has recognized as. For second book, the same way he has recognized from page link. He doesn't know which object he is into. Assume that for this history of Quick Test Professional, the price is $59.99. $59.99 is a web element. It is again associated to the page. It is not associated to history of Quick Test Professional as per QTP. That is the first point I like to say. When I Try to retry 159.99. Again, it is associated to the page directly as web element. It is not associated to the second book. This is what I like to emphasize here. So, what I need, if I want the first book price, I want the price of History of Quick Test Professional, I should get easily, I should able to get, irrespective of which place that book is. So book is my base. I give the title of the book and I should get the price of the book. In the same way, I should get the authors of the book. So if I treat this entire book as one object, you can see this is one web table. This is another web table. The bottom one is another web table. This table, if I am trying to recognize as one object, and inside that object, I like title to be one property, authors to be one property, price, new price is one property, old book price is another property. I can put this into an object class. If I am able to do that, then retrieval or recognizing that object will be much easier. This is what we try to convey, right? We want this to be managed using test extensibility. Is this clear? This need drives QTP extensibility because it is not possible easily to manage using QTP. So because it was recognizing at the same level, this made QTP to get into test extensibility. So when I go to test extensibility, that is called extensibility accelerator. I close QTP now. I close QTP. We have called test extensibility accelerator. So test extensibility accelerator allows me, I open the test extensibility accelerator now. It uses Visual Studio. When you are installing extensibility accelerator, it installs Visual Studio as well. It takes some time. Now I'll explain you where that installer is. It is available under QTP initial dump, installer dump. This is my QTP installer dump. In this you can see there is a extensibility. Now what you are seeing now in QTP installation folder, this is the initial dump that we get. You can see extensibility and toolkits, and this extensibility and toolkits has the installer. You can install it using installer that is available here. This is for .NET, this is for Java, this is for Windows VPF. So you can install this. Once you install this, you can manage all your extensibility activities. So this extensibility, once installed, you will get this accelerator. This is where we have opened now. Test extensibility accelerator. This is the screen. It is almost uses the same concept of Visual Studio. So in this you have a default project as well. I like to open the project. Let me take the project of sample. This is the sample project towards that book. Okay, so now I opened it. In this, if you see a right hand side and left hand side, in this the left hand side is all the classes that you like to create. You create it over here. It can be single class, multiple class. All the operations that you like to do for that class, you can do it over here below. Above, you can see there is an add class, add test object class, and then you can deploy that to the QTP. So first you can add the class, create as many classes as you want, then you can deploy the class into the QTP. Once you deploy the class in QTP, you will get those as a part of add-in. You can select that add-in and you can start managing using that class. That is how he manages the object. When you get into each class, if I double click and open the class, now you can see now he has opened the class to the right. In this class, you can assign the controls. You can manage the controls under this class. So web extension book is the class name, and this class name uses, I can't leave it. This is how the base class was. It was recognized as a web element. Generic type is an object. So he is making it as a generic. This is how it has started with. Every map has a control, and you can see now the control is identified here, how he recognizes the object. You can see he has recognized with a class name book. This is how he has recognized this object. What I'm trying to say here is, when I open this notepad, this is how QTP sees that object now. In this, the book class, he recognized the class book. If you notice now, the class book, you have now one class, below is another class, table class book. Each class he has now recognized as one object. That means the entire this table is one object. Now he is treating this as one object. This is what he is trying to define it here. Select controls. I click on select control. Now you can see that I open the notepad first. Sorry, this note. I select the control now. You can see now he selects that control. So once you select that control, he comes up now with, I'll open one more, 1 minute. Let me go back. I'll add this later. Book.html, it is under jQuery right now. It is now showing us a 1. Let me select control again. It is already selected, so I can only view the control. He has already selected the control, and that control class name equals book. That is how he has now identified the control, right? So I can have any number of controls I like to add, I can add. Once it is done, he now goes to the operations. You can add any operation. When I click on select, what I like to do, and this information is available under JavaScript. Every class is associated with a JavaScript. Please make a note. Every class is associated with JavaScript. If what he advises is you create for each class one JavaScript. So first is I need to establish a control, then I can establish multiple operations and then properties. What is that operation? You need to decide, pre-decide. What is that operation you want to do? If I click this operation means object dot select, object dot go to author page, object dot go to used books. So these are all the methods available for QTP to use. If I click on JavaScript, now it goes to that select control. The name is select control. It is opening now web extension book.js. Under this web extension book.js, he is creating a function select all. Under select all, he retrieves the book title whenever you click on the select that, he retrieves the book title and click on to that book title. That means he goes to the book title page. This is what he has coded. What you see below that Windows dot dollar underscore element dot, this is precisely what is jQuery is all about. This is for this reason we are getting into jQuery, right? So for understanding this portion we are getting into jQuery. Underscore element is a QTP item object and underscore util, it is QTP util object. To understand more why QTP util object or QTP element object, we need to understand jQuery. This is the reason why we need to enter into jQuery. Otherwise, we never understand how this function works. To understand this, we need to understand jQuery better. So this is first introduction of this particular test extensibility. Once I do everything, I can deploy this object and pass it on to the QTP. Once we pass it on, he automatically manages those objects. That is how he manages the